Hey, good evening, everybody. We're going to give a quick market talk here. And this is Bryce Cooley on my side here. I'm Guy Gronwald. This is my brother, Gary Gronwald. I'll give a quick market talk, maybe 10 minutes, and then from that we'll have a question and answer. So if there's any question you have, start thinking of it now. We'd love to answer questions, and that really flows well. My brother just called, so we always have to take our brother's call. But Greg's the boss. So I'm going to start with in the booth today. I noticed that when people came into the booth, their question was, you know, what is there demand for raccoon, or is there demand for muskrats? And 6 years ago, that question was, what's price raccoons going to be this fall? And the question has definitely changed. I actually don't think one person came into the booth and asked what the price of raccoon was going to be this fall. And what I told them was, I said, there is a big demand for raccoon. There is a big demand for muskrats. There is a big demand for coyotes, and there is a big demand for beavers. Those are kind of the four main articles. And we wished we'd have bought 3 times what we bought last year. It would have been very good for our company. But the difference between the demand for those articles is this. Can you not hear me back there?
Yes.
Is that any better?
Get close.
Okay, is that better? Okay, sorry about that, guys. The difference between the demand for those articles is nothing. They're all demand, but the price is different. And so really the question you should actually be asking now is what is the price? And certainly most of those articles will achieve levels that they did this year. We wish we could say, hey, they'll be a lot higher. And some of those articles can very well develop yet this year. Coyote market is very, very strong. And we're not even going to talk about the coyote market because everybody knows that's very strong. But it could have some influence, especially on the raccoon and other long-haired items. And when they're using it for a trim piece that's very small, and a price increase, on those articles does not, translate into that big of an increase in the garment. Sometimes they get 4, maybe 5, even 6 trims out of one raccoon. So if a raccoon goes up $5, the trim only goes up 50, 60, 70 cents. So, we could see some increases in raccoon prices. I was in China last month. Bryce will be going, this month to China. Gary's going to go in August. We have not stopped promoting fur since the last day of the season. I mean, I was actually in China for 2 weeks in June, and then 2 weeks in Europe for fur business. And we are working tirelessly to put fur into the hands of garment makers. And we are doing everything we can to get costs out of the system. We're doing what we can to get a trapper. The worst thing we can see is a trapper when he gets $5 for a finished coon, and he thinks to himself, wow, I spent $5 just to stretch that coon, or just to scrape and stretch that coon. And that's what we don't want to see. We're promoting these people to sell their beavers green because we can handle them so much cheaper, or we can do the processing so much cheaper, especially in the better sections. We're encouraging people to sell their raccoon even green, so that they, so that every last dime they get that they can keep, instead of either paying a processor or figuring their cost as to what it costs them to process that skin. So go ahead.
Allows them more time to.
They can. We would like to see the trapper catch more fur, because that is what we need. We need more fur. Our routes, we've cut them back. We've expanded our routes, but cut back the amount of times that we go to each stop. We would like to see, we would like to run more. We need more fur at every stop. It cuts down our costs. It takes more costs out of the system, the more fur we buy. So, we need more fur, and we want to make it advantageous and as easy as possible for a trapper to become a trapper and not to become a fur putter-upper. If you want to put your fur up, that's great. Do a great job. We love it. Muskrats, mink, those are items that, we gotta almost buy stretch and drive. But when it starts getting into the raccoon, and especially in the beaver, and coyote, we have ways to put those raccoon up, the beaver up, the coyote up, a lot cheaper than the trapping public can. And we want to use that to promote trapping so the trapper gets more of the price of the finished product. Yeah, the root here is obviously a little bit older, and that's the kind of thing where a trapper can go out, set a dog proof, skin an animal, and sell it to us, and he's a trapper, and that'll get more young people into this business, and that is obviously what we need. So we don't want to encourage people to think they have to scrape a raccoon to become a trapper. That's just not the case, and in fact, you're never going to get trappers at this point when prices are like they are to trap if you got to scrape a coon to do it. So anyway, coon prices did get a little bit better last year, and like I said, I think we can probably achieve those numbers, and in some cases, in some sizes, some qualities, even better next year. The muskrat, I certainly think we can achieve similar prices to last year, which was certainly better than the year before. There is the question of ranch mink, and we can't overlook that ever important item. I realize none of you guys trap ranch mink, but it does dictate a lot of prices in our items. Ranch mink have hit during this season where wild fur has stabilized over the last couple of years. Ranch fur still did hit multi-generational lows, and in real terms, inflation-adjusted dollars, they have never been this cheap. I mean, it's just unbelievable. A ranch mink typically in America costs somewhere either north or south of $40, and a lot of ranchers, average sale price was what? 22 to 27. Maybe the best rancher in America averaged 30. So the best rancher is losing $10 a skin, and there's going to be, the amount of mink killed in this ranch mink killed this year is going to be half of what it was 2 years ago. And if prices don't do something between now and November, we could see another half pelt out again. I think the peak is definitely arguable, but it was at around 150 million 6 years ago, maybe 130 million. And this year, it's definitely going to be below 40 million. And next year, I could see it, or this coming season is going to be below 40 million. And I could definitely see, if these prices don't change, it'll be below 20 million in another year. Although wild fur has also taken serious dives as far as production. We're at 10% on a lot of the items that you guys trapped from 6 years ago. Definitely raccoon were over 2 million produced. I would say muskrats were similar to that, around 2 million, maybe a little bit less. And and some of those items were in the low 100,000s, 200,000 or something like that, maybe 300,000. So we have also seen a dive in our production, and we'd love to see an increase in production is what we would really like to see.
Gary, anything to add, Bryce? Question?
Just maybe answer a question of what we're doing to cut costs on the other end, on the final end.
One thing we're doing is, sometimes on our end, first of all, we've cut our production costs as far as processing, raccoon and beaver and everything. We're looking every way we can do it in our factory to cut it out. The second thing is the structure of the fur trade itself has actually changed, especially in China. And it used to be that many manufacturers would either go to auction or go to us and buy their skins. Today, it's mostly dealers. In other words, it's people that buy big quantities of skins in China, and then they, resort them and, put them on, and parcel them out to these manufacturers. Maybe a manufacturer uses, 6,000 coon every 2 weeks. He goes out on a Monday morning every 2 weeks, and he buys his 6,000 coon for his factory. That's kind of how it works now. So we've looked at that, and we realized that our grading and stuff, it doesn't have to be as exacting as it used to be. We used to spend, a buck or two just grading and making grades perfect, because a manufacturer needs that added value of a skin being perfect for his production. So what we're doing is we're dressing vast quantities of skins in China or in Cambodia. We're sending them sort of semi-graded, and we're going to do some of the grading. Bryce will be going over next week, and we will actually go over there and do some of the finished grading over there, because it's a lot more cost effective for us, which is an advantage to you guys. So this is a new thing for us, and we feel like we can really wrench some costs out of it, and we can speed up what happens. We can get a raccoon process so fast, and our grading was a lot of times our bottleneck. So we can, buy that raccoon on the 15th of November, and it might be in a container or an airplane on the 1st of December. So that's what that's going to allow us to do. That's going to make our money go a lot farther. It's going to, we'll make a lot more turns in a year, and that's another cost we're going to wrench out of the system. For you guys, basically.
We're looking to get more money selling so we get to the travel.
Yeah, we want to get more money selling. We want to do whatever we can to make that product perfect, to make that product how the manufacturer wants it, which is dressed today. It's not raw. Manufacturers are not buying a raw skin. They're buying a dressed skin in China, and we're gonna achieve more money for our skins. So we're gonna be able to pay you guys more money and hopefully produce more goods, because that is what we need for our business. Any questions out here? We love questions. That's what we need to answer, is what you guys have to ask. Don't be bashful. Where's my guy that always asks? There he is. He's always got a question. He's from Wisconsin, and I give these talks every year there, and he's always got the most questions. I can't believe he hasn't asked one yet.
Does maybe you don't even know this, but does high water affect the litters of muskrats?
Oh, you know what? When I was a kid, it didn't matter how much it rained, there was always lots of muskrats. And now it doesn't matter how much it rains, there's never any muskrats.
Yeah.
So I don't think it has anything to do with it. They live in the water, guys. There's something else. I mean, there's a lot of things affecting the production of muskrats. How was that for an answer on that one? Pretty good.
A typical guy answer.
Bryce go to Facebook or whatever when he goes over.
Yeah, you guys have mentioned the Facebook videos that we've done this year. Really enjoyed them. Gary did some out in Iowa with like Hoosier and stuff. We did some great. Bryce and Gary did some with some grading ones. I did a muskrat one, and I had a lot of guys come into the booth. And when I was doing them in China like a month ago or so, I didn't see my views as being crazy, and I didn't know if trappers really cared about looking at that stuff. But boy, I tell you, in the booth today, they were just telling me over and over again, they love those videos in China. So Bryce,
What do you guys like to see the most?
well, he wanted to know what you guys like to see in China when he's there. Anything in particular?
It's just great to see what goes on
Okay.
after we get our check and your truck leaves. I mean,
Okay.
because it's always been an unknown, really.
Okay.
Any part of it.
Okay.
Good.
Well, we're changing a little bit, right? This year, actually, we're doing a lot. We've got a lot. We have raccoon on the boat right now in China. We've got raccoon in a plane on the way to China. We've got raccoon in China, in Cambodia. I mean, we are definitely changing what happens to your raccoon, what happens to your red fox, whatever, right now, as opposed to last year. So it's actually a little bit different. So we'll see how this goes. But so far, we've been pretty happy with it.
So if I bring in a 65-inch beaver that would stretch out to be 65 inches, and I brought it in the carcass, would I get more money if I stretched it and skinned and stretched it, and then took my caster out too? Or how,
Well, let's just change that question just a little bit. Let's just say he brought one in the grease. If he's got it skinned, we buy so few beaver in the carcass. Most people skin their beavers.
Okay.
Here, you answer that one.
We can't haul carcass beaver on the
Okay,
truck,
so
we've
it's
got
the
so many
best to
people
skin
coming.
it. It's best to skin it, but not stretch and flesh it.
Yes.
He wants to know what's the difference between.
Yeah.
Well, it might only be a couple bucks.
So if you paid me $20 for a beaver that I stretched and fleshed, and it was 65 inches, you would give me 15 to 18.
If you
I
had
didn't
20,
stretch
30
it?
beaver in the end, it's going to cost a couple bucks difference.
It's going to be a couple
For everything.
Okay.
One beaver's a little different than
Because I knew a guy that you bought, I think he skinned him, but you gave him $10 a piece straight through. It didn't matter the size or
Well, the size does matter. You would be surprised. I mean, I don't just go up there blindly and buy them at $10. You typically, if we're kind of doing an average buy like that on the beaver, which is the only item we kind of do it on, we say like 10 and 2 or 9 and 2, and then if they, you start throwing some down to 2. If the beavers start running small, you start throwing more down to 2.
Sure.
So I mean, but overall, the average is a couple bucks difference to stretch them.
because there's only one market.
There's basically on the beaver there is one market. It's a header market. That's it. There's no.
200 beaver, we sold a lot of beaver this year.
Yeah. We bought a lot of beaver this year. I mean, it's astronomical, and we sold 200 beaver this year for garments. 200 out of 75,000 probably.
Only $4 more than that price.
Yeah, you know, and in reality, I don't think we got any more than hatters. You know, you just can't. A beaver, as far as a garment, beaver garment is considered. It's a bit of a cheap mink, and when mink are cheap, you know what's that? So we're looking for hatter beaver, and that's just how it is. And we need them. You know, the market is kind of decent, and we need hatter beaver. Guys, there's a ton of people here. Any questions? There you go.
Where's the otter market going?
Almost all the otters are going to China. They still use some in the Tibetan people still use some for their religious ceremonies, for their marriages and stuff. And they do still make some hats for like Russia, the Chinese do. And maybe they use some in Russia, but everything we're selling is going to China. So a lot of hats for Russia, and a lot of the Tibetan people use them.
Talk
But
about the price. Most comparable with mink.
yeah, the price, you know, is very comparable to a ranch mink. You know, it looks more like a ranch mink than certainly than a beaver does. So the price, you know, is very, very similar. At their peak, you know, an American ranch mink averaged right around $115. You know, the otter were averaging right around $115. And now a mink averages, we just told you, a ranch mink averages $25, and so does a beaver, so does an otter, lo and behold. Good question. Anybody else, guys?
At what size is a coon not worth bringing into you?
It depends on your section, sir. It depends. I mean, if you're from, you know, northern Wisconsin, I'd certainly, you know, keep anything large up, or Dakotas. And if I was from, you know,
Iowa.
oh, I would still probably keep large, wouldn't you, Gary? Yeah. 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 Even in the semis, you can. I mean, in a lot of the semi guys, they stretch their coon, you know. So it's certainly going to have some value. I mean, I maybe wouldn't stretch a very flat sow or a kit blue pelt, you know, from the southern section. But you know, they're pretty much everything that's a normal, you know, raccoon that's a white leather coon is going to have some value, barring a medium or, you know, something like that. Another great question. So I mean, it's not like it was, you know, 4 years ago where, you know, when guys came into the booth, they said, "What's the demand?" And I said, "Well, there is no demand, you know. No, there's demand for your skins. I mean, we need as many as we can possibly get."
What do you think about the bobcat?
I'm gonna let Bryce take care of that.
He's the Bobcat. Yeah, tell him the question. Say the question so he hears.
You want to know what's going on with the bobcat market? Obviously, Western heavy, semi-heavy cats are going to be strong again. They dropped off actually the last couple sales. They're not $1,500 anymore. They came to $1,100, and that one to be the top. But when you get to commercial cats, it's cheap. It's at a price. You know, you're looking, you know, from Texas to whatever, $100 down. You know, they get the nice spots in Texas. You can get up to $100, but when you're talking this section here, you know, it's $60 a down. You're looking around a $40 average, $35 average.
Right, what about our Texas coon? Do you need more coon?
We can move them, but it's at same thing. It's at a price. You know, if you're looking to put them up, you know, right now we're probably $4 or $5 on them. Maybe 3 to 5, depending what you have.
You got one right here.
Other than the cost of the raw fur itself, what's your greatest production cost, and what does that amount to?
It depends on kind of the item or how do I say this? If we go out in a truck and we have a bad route, our purchasing cost is probably the highest thing. If we have a good route, you know, if we buy 2,500 raccoon on a weekend and I'm out there in the truck by myself, I mean, my costs are so small on the purchasing on that, you know, it's hardly even calculatable. Okay, it's 10, 15 cents, you know. But if you go out and you don't buy anything, you know, that's very high. I guess the kind of the cost that, you know, you guys might not realize is that it's maybe a little surprising is our shipping costs are very high. You know, we end up, and I hope none of my customers that are listening to this that they pay their own freight, but we end up paying the freight for all of our customers. So that ends up, you know, we do a lot of air freight to China, and you know, that's very expensive. That is something that we can kind of wring out of the equation, and that is if the more containers we use on the ocean in the winter, and this deal where we get things blasted through fast, and don't have it, wait till the summer to get stuff done, we can send it over in a normal container, unrefrigerated, and then it becomes very cheap. Actually it becomes, you can get a raccoon there for under 10 cents. Yeah, but I think you can get one under 10 cents, right? 12 cents. 10, 12 cents if you put it in a container, whereas it can cost almost $1 if you have to air freight it.
If you could pick any one thing that trappers could do to help you, what would it be?
Oh, I get picked a lot of things, but I'm a muskrat guy, okay? Oh, I'm sorry. The question, there's a great question here. I love this. He asked if there is anything if there's one thing that a trapper could do that they could change that would be good for us. And I'll tell you what, it's such a good question that all three of us will answer with their own answer, if that's all right. And I'll answer it first. And my thing is I would like to see trappers not spending so much time trying to perfect their skins, and sometimes actually to their own disadvantage. Probably some people saw my muskrat video, and I'm not going to go into it because I've talked to everybody about this already. But guys putting push pins in muskrats, all the way down the skirt, and putting them on a board, spending a half an hour a muskrat. It's hard for a guy to buy a muskrat from a guy when he obviously spent a half an hour just scraping and drying that rat. Just knock the white fat off of it and throw it on a wire stretcher, guys. The Chinese are never going to see that muskrat before it's dressed. It's not going to happen. There's no way they can possibly know the difference. And in fact, I think the muskrat looks better on a wire stretcher. And that's what I'd like to do. And I'd like to take that across all items. Make it about trapping, not about, putting a muskrat up that, can try to fool a grader while it's raw, when it ends up really being graded by the man that matters after it's dressed.
Yeah, I'd go similar with that. I'd say trap more fur. We're set up, if you're going to work with us, we're set up to put fur up more efficiently and cheaper than anybody in the world. And all of our customers, nobody sees a raw skin once it arrives, so it doesn't have to be put up perfect. Every one of our customers sees it dressed, and that's what they care about. So if you try to pull a coon, 2 inches further, put belly fur on the back, that means absolutely nothing. It's hurting the customer to do it. So I'd say trap more fur, and obviously muskrats, put them up quick and cheap, and I'd say trap more fur, yeah.
All right. Gary?
I think I like to see a trapper that's thinking. He thinks about when he's going to catch it, so it's prime. He's thinking about the size that, how to target something that has size. He's also a trapper that is...
Not great this time.
Turn it off.
Chinese solid.
Turn it off. What's that?
Chinese solid.
Actually, it was close to that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the other end. Yeah, close. What do I like? Yeah, I like a trapper that's out there thinking all the time how he can be more efficient, and he tells me about it. I like to see a trapper that takes care of his fur. I like to see a trapper that is concerned about what he's getting. That means he's thinking out in the field. I love to see that kind of stuff. And then the other thing is, I love to see trappers that are teaching other people how to do it. I think that's, I have one guy said tonight, he said he's going to trap coyotes, but he's going to let, from November, from Thanksgiving until the middle of December, he's going to let kids trap his coyote lands for coon, so he doesn't worry about them, and he's going to show them where to set the coon traps. So, I like that kind of stuff, guys that are thinking like that. And then I also like to see guys trapping in the water, having diversified. That's not for production, but the art of water trapping is being lost. I like to see that kind of stuff. It doesn't help production, but it keeps the industry alive and keeps trappers thinking about trapping. If you just trap land, I think you should trap a couple days in the water just to keep yourself sharp in that kind of stuff, okay? And then the other thing is something we didn't mention, sections a lot, okay? We buy in the south a lot of beavers and otters. everything's basically the same on that. We want you guys to ask us about routes, about where we can go. We're establishing some. We established a new one today. So in another state. So that's important. You guys talk to us. So about where we can have routes. Maybe something farther out east. So we're thinking.
Right around here too.
Yeah, right around here. We're actually probably going to run a route next year, right down to
Here in East.
Yeah, here in East.
When will your schedule be out?
Our schedule is out typically the middle of October, and it might actually be out a little earlier this year. And we're going to have a new way to access our routes. You'll put your zip code in, and it'll tell you your closest stop, second closest. Just like when you're finding a store or something, it gives you your closest stop, and that's going to be a little bit different on our website this year. So, but somewhere around the middle of October, we got another question here.
Yeah, where do you see the coyote
market? The coyote market's going to be great this year. It'll be fantastic.
still going to hold?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with the coyote market. Yeah.
Beaver caster.
We are not crazy beaver caster people. We do buy it. We do buy it as a convenience to the trapper, as a service. But the beaver caster market should remain strong just because there is just not that many beavers harvested. I said we bought a kind of a bigger number for us this year beaver, but that's you got to buy all the beaver in the United States to buy that many. And just 5-6 years ago, the beaver production in North America was several 100,000, maybe. I don't know if you guys want to guess.
For sure.
Several, maybe 500,000-600,000, and now it's Canada and the United States is maybe 150,000. So in Illinois, we get the actual numbers. This is an amazing statistic. We have 102 counties in Illinois. Okay, 85% of our state was at one time or is still a wetland. Okay, and right around 2,000 beavers are produced in Illinois. That's 20 a county. Can you imagine that? It doesn't even, beaver trapping doesn't even take place. It's crazy. Any other questions, guys? We got one here first. Now, what do you?
Do your wives wear fur coats?
My daughter certainly does, and my wife doesn't too much, but my daughter certainly does. Yeah. You guys? Gary's wife does some. And Bryce.
I do.
Yeah, actually, Bryce is a real promoter of fur. He's got 2 fur coats actually, but he doesn't have a wife. If there's any, girls out here, so. Or if
you got more money that way.
Or yeah.
That's why he's got 2 fur coats.
All right, sir.
How have the tariff wars affected the
tariff wars have hurt us not a ton as far as importation into China, even though the tariffs have gone up for us because they've retaliated. But the biggest problem is the Chinese economy is really in a tough shape, and as a result, the people there don't have any money to purchase a coat, and that's a big problem. Housing costs have continued to rise in China, and everybody in China, every couple that gets married is expected to purchase a home. Parents give them about half the purchase price, and they're left with purchasing the rest. Typical condo costs $300,000. The in-laws give them $150,000. They're saddled with a $150,000 mortgage. Dad makes $12,000 a year, mom makes $10,000. Do the math. There's not a lot of money left to buy a fur coat. That's why a lot of this stuff is very price sensitive. Once the coat goes, above a nominal value, then it's very difficult for the Chinese to purchase it. So because that's who's fur is appealing to right now is sort of the middle lower class. So that's kind of how they've hurt us, sir.
What about the East Texas coyote? Are they trim trade or anything on them?
That's tough.
It's tough. Yeah.
Shoot them ahead, throw them in the ditch.
Well, yeah, it's difficult. He asked about the price of an East Texas coyote, the demand. It's difficult. It's a very flat, very dark coyote. Can't really use it for trim. It's
You get
difficult.
you get some with some weight on it. $30 maybe.
Yeah, maybe $30 if you got one that's got some weight to it. You could get something that a cheater coyote that'll get in. Anybody else? All right.
All muskrats.
Price or demand or what?
Price, demand.
I think it'll be similar to last year. There's not a lot of muskrats produced. If I told you the numbers of muskrats that are produced, that's probably I could share with you some of these other numbers how they've gone down. I mean, muskrat production has really plummeted, and there is still a business in China. If you guys saw my last time to China, I took you through a muskrat plate producing factory, and there is still demand, and they get a little short of the muskrats. But it's very difficult to push, even though when they're short of muskrats, it's difficult to push that price when they can buy a ranch mink for $10. It's just like a female ranch mink. It's just very difficult. So it's going to be tough to see where it really advances, even though supplies are fairly tight in China. There's not some excess supply like there are still raccoon definitely laying in China. That's absolutely fact. And but muskrats, there's not, but it's still difficult to push the price. We had a question back here.
Is Russia out of the fur market now, or are they still having demand?
Russia's spotting in the fur industry right now. Why? Because a lady doesn't want to wear a heavy coat like that when she say drives a car to work now instead of stands outside. And so you have a Russian population that will wear a little bit of trim, but you don't see the full length garments being made like you used to. Could that come back? Yeah, something fashionable could come back. We just sold some to Raccoon. We sold some raccoons there. That works. Some going to be making for hats. So yeah, there is a demand there, but it's not nearly what it used to be. Okay.
Any other questions, guys?
I got one.
Go ahead.
Where do I go to find out what you want me to know?
Our website has a lot of simple facts on it, but we also publish all of our videos that we have done, and those videos, like. We did a raccoon one, we did a coyote one, we did muskrat one, we ongoing market reports we give, from time to time. We sit down and give these market reports just like this on Facebook Live. And those are on our website all the time. So you can look at those, and the newest ones are always, I think the one's at the top, right, Abby? The newest videos are always at the top. Yeah, so if we're talking about the market, when Bryce gets back from China, maybe we'll sit down again. We just got a little thing like this right on Facebook, and you'll be able to see.
They're organized on our website.
Yeah, it's very organized on our website. Abby takes care of the website, so it's very
Okay, that's why it's good.
Anybody else, guys? All right, I want to thank everybody. I want to thank Abby. Let's give her a round of applause. She put this whole thing together. I think next year we'll probably try and do the same thing. And thanks for coming out. And if you guys haven't stopped by our booth yet, stop by our booth. And we're going to be around here till 8 o'clock tonight. What's that?
Coats.
Oh, we have coats here for sale. These are coats very typical of what your raccoon are made into in China. I mean, very typical. This is what the Chinese are buying. This is a very moderately priced garment. This is what Chinese people are buying.
You can order one over there.
Oh yeah, make sure we gave you a shirt. Make sure you wear your green shirt tomorrow so we can see all you guys. All right. Anybody else? Thank you very much.
How much is mine?